welcome to Strato's Guitar Making Tips. Today we're going to look at shaping a heel block. So here we have a heel block. We've got the stack here all glued up. So we're going to start with marking out the shape, and here's my template. This is for a classical guitar, very traditional heel design. So we mark from this side. You can mark any side, but I'm marking from this side. Okay, so we'll quickly mark it out. So, okay, so now we can cut the shape on the bandsaw. Earmuffs. Okay, here it is, our heel shape, and now we cut down the width of the heel block before we shape it. So the heel for this particular guitar at the 12th body joint will be 61 millimeters. So I mark my 30.5 from the center. So 61. And I'll also mark it down here so I can draw a straight line when I cut. So here we go, mark it out. Alright, back to the bandsaw. So here we have the width. And now we cut that down to size. Alright, so there we have it, the width and the shape. So now we mark out the heel and we make two cuts either side so we can start shaping. So I have a center line already marked out on the bottom of the heel, and I use that to help me mark out the heel shape. Here's my heel shape. You can see we've got dots here. Now those dots represent different heel lengths. So depending on how long I want to make the heel, I can line it up with different dots. I'm going to make this heel a longish one, so I'll put the dots closest to the end. Alright, so there's our heel. Now I'm going to mark where I'm going to cut with the tenon saw. Alright, so we've got a line all the way around, and that's where we're going to cut. The next measurement we need is how far in we're going to cut. Now I normally cut in about 12 mil on the top here. And here I come in 10 mil from the edge of the heel, close to the center. So that brings us pretty close to the center of the heel. About there. Okay. Alright, we cut that now with the trusty old tenon saw. Okay, line it all up. Now, just a golden rule when cutting along a line is always leave the line behind. You'll hear me say that a lot, but it is actually a golden rule. When we're cutting anything out, always leave the line behind, because you know where you are. If you've got a line to guide you. Okay, so here's our cut. You can see we're about where the mark is, and here it's very close to the centre of the heel. So we do that again. Okay, so now we've got our two cuts. You can see they pretty much line up here at the heel. Now we're going to shape the heel. This is Spanish cedar, so it's actually quite easy to carve. It's very soft, fairly soft compared to Honduras mahogany, so it should be fairly quick to carve. So, sharp chisel, and away we go. I love this. This is so much fun. So, just a little word of advice here. When you're carving by hand, I trim away these sharp edges, because what happens is, as you're carving, you're going to end up taking skin off those sharp edges, and we have to reshape that foot anyway. So just take the sharp edges off, and you won't lose so much skin. Alright, now, so I've roughed out the heel before I start carving from the other way, which is what I normally do, is I carve it from the wide side. And the reason for carving this section out first is when I start carving this way, then we're not going to get the timber splitting at the heel. So that's why I've shaped the heel first. So you'll probably see that when I'm chiseling, I'm holding the chisel with my right hand, with my left hand steadies and controls the chisel and sort of steers it to and away, so what I'm doing, my right hand is pushing, and I'm not only pushing with my right hand, I'm actually pushing with my whole body. You can see I've got my hand up against my chest, and I'm actually pushing with my whole body all the way back to my right foot. So, and that way I've got more control with the chisel, and I can take a lot more timber out at the same time. So make sure I'm careful not to go too far. So I come down to where I want to be, so that's close, a bit more. Now, at this point you've got to be careful not to go too far, because it will split out. So I'm just taking the last little bit with the grain. Okay, so we're getting very close to having shaped this side profile, this edge. So now what I do is I take it out and I look at the curvature of that, and I look and see whether I'm happy with that. Now I actually would like to have a little bit more curve in that face, so I'm going to take more out. Now when you're shaping a curve in the heel, you've got to use the beveled edge. You can't, this is good for going straight, but you can't get a curve with the long flat face. You've got to use the beveled face for curved surfaces. Now use your fingers to feel what's going on as well, because sometimes your fingers can tell you things that your eyes can't. So with your fingers you can get a bit of an idea, a pretty good idea of how much curvature is there and if it's even or not. Now that's starting to feel pretty good. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Alright, so there's a pretty nice curve in there. Now I've got to try and replicate that curve on the other side. Now the way I do that is I take a piece of cardboard and I sit it in the slot and I trace my shape with a sharp pencil, and I also mark which end is the bottom of the hill and which end is the top of the hill, because it gets confusing. So I put an arrow here, bottom, arrow, top, and then I cut the shape out. Here we go. Like so. And now I can start shaping the other side and try and replicate that just there. Here we go. Pretty much what I'm trying to, I mean it's almost there, I can show you. I'm trying to get a straight cut from the width here to the width here, and that's almost there. Once I get my straight cut, then I'll start shaping the curve, replicating the curve into this side as well. Now let's see if we can get this curve. So this is the top, so there it is, that's the curve that we want. So away we go. Okay, let's have a look at that. Alright, so if you look, let me have a look first. Yes, that's not so bad. So if you have a look at that, that's getting pretty close to being even both sides. So now the idea is we shape the curve around, and so we take these corners off either side. Now, sometimes it's hard, without a lot of experience, it's hard to know whether to use this face of the chisel or the beveled face. Now what I did was I started with the flat face and just took like this, and just took the corners off either side up the top here, and because now I'm moving into a curved edge, I'm using the beveled face. Now, I do as much as I can with the chisel. There's another tool that I use when I get very close, which is a skew chisel. That's a skew chisel. Now I'm almost ready to move to the skew chisel, but I just want to remove a little bit more of the waste timber before that. So I get some of this waste timber out of the way, because it makes it a lot harder to shape with all that sitting there getting in the way. So now we'll use the skew chisel. Okay, now with using the skew chisel, I work from, I'm chiseling this side here from this side. So I'm not trying to chisel this side, for example, I'm actually chiseling that side, and the side away from my body. And the idea there is that I've got control of it with my right hand. This time I'm actually steadying it with my right hand and pushing with my left hand. So I'll just show you the technique there. So I've got it firm, and you can see my left hand is pushing down, and I'm steering it with both hands actually. Okay, so now we do the other side. It's taking shape, as you can see. I like to use the chisels for shaping the skew chisel and the normal chisel for shaping the hill as much as I can, because one, it's more fun, two, I feel more connected with the timber and with how I'm shaping, and three, it's actually a lot quicker to do it by chisel than with files and sandpaper. So do as much as you can with your chisels before you start using file and sandpaper. Okay, here we go, we're just about there. I'll just remove some of this excess. So you can see it's actually almost the shape that we want on this side. So we just have to replicate it on the other side. Okay, there it is. I think it looks pretty good. Just have a quick look from this side. Yeah, that's getting very close now. So if you can see it from that side, and that side, it's all looking pretty close to sanding. And there we have it.